This week on Weekly Muse, wanted to talk a little bit about Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. If anyone has not heard about that, it is a role-playing game about Avatar, the Last Airbender. And Alex...
And
Yes.
and the Legend of Korra
Oh, okay, yeah.
and Mickey.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the lore behind all of it. But I can see, yeah, okay, Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. Are you familiar with Avatar, Alex?
Barely, not like I'm not hugely familiar with every piece of lore and every detail and everything in Avatar and whatnot. And I've never seen Korra. I've seen enough that I'm familiar with what the world is kind of like and the characters and what the bending is and all that stuff.
You bend it like Beckham. Yeah. Airbend like Beckham. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, bend it like Beckham.
Well, anyway, Avatar Legends from Magpie Games just recently finished their Kickstarter to the tune of, drumroll please, $9.5 million. So
Yeah, it's quite a bit of money. I think there were 80,000 some backers.
yeah, over 81. Yeah.
Which is 81,000 backers. Which is a testament to how many people really love the setting and stories in Avatar and Korra.
Oh yeah. Now the question I had, because there's two kind of different there's two different fandoms, I think, that are here. Do you think most of this is coming from the people that are familiar with Avatar or the people that are familiar with tabletop role-playing games?
Oh, I definitely think that most of these 81,000 people are coming from the realm of being familiar with Avatar.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a bit of crossover of people who are familiar with tabletop games as well.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I want to say I feel like the staggering majority, are going to be people who are like, oh, Avatar, I love Avatar. I would totally back a game that's Avatar.
Right. And I'm gonna say you're probably right, because if you weren't just into tabletop games, but you're not familiar with Avatar, there's a lot of things that you could have backed instead. So chances are the majority of the content is coming from Avatar. So for many of these, we don't have a firm number, but for a lot of these, they might be coming into this pretty fresh with tabletop role-playing games, though. So my question to you is... Potentially. My question to you is, do you think that this is going to be a good gateway game, essentially, for new tabletop role-playing enthusiasts?
I'm hoping it'll be really good to be a gateway to get people into more role-playing games. Even if they're just people who are familiar with role-playing games, but are typically like, oh, I only play in D&D, or only play a certain system. Maybe this will be one where they cross over and they're like, oh, well, I've never, like, personally, Ray and I backed it. I've never played in Powered by the Apocalypse, which is this system that Magpie is using for this.
Yeah.
But Avatar is a cool setting. Ray's newbie to role-playing games in general, pretty much, kind of like you were.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping this one is something we can try with her to see if she likes it, aside from just the story and the characters and stuff, or if she's actually a fan of role-playing games in general. So hopefully there are people who are going to come into this new and get into the hobby and gaming space and enjoy it and add a lot more fun, interesting characters to that area of the sphere that we're in. But also I hope that there are people who are more veteran gamers that are going to take a chance and check out this Powered by the Apocalypse and Avatar. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Powered by the Apocalypse, again, is one of those settings that I'm not particularly all that familiar with, but I have seen quite a few different things that work in that way. I actually if I remember correctly. Transit, which was done by a certain person that we know, very familiar with, but Fiddleback worked in that system too. Kind of well known for being kind of like light on the dice mechanics, but you can do a lot with them. It's not, you don't use quite as many different kinds of dice in Powered by the Apocalypse.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you just use 2d6 and PBTA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, I believe that's right. I'm going to say so. And now in terms of the Avatar thing, I find that really interesting just because I'm going to be interested to see, one, if you're going to have a lot of people that are Avatar fans that get into tabletop gaming beyond just this game after they try it, if they are new to the whole thing, and then how many people that are veterans that are used to like the Dungeons and Dragons actually see the value in what they've done here, and of course, ultimately, if everybody is going to fight with each other online afterward.
I mean, people are already fighting with each other over this for a myriad of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Since, commercial success of $9.5 million, and decisions said company make, people like to be like, well, why'd they do that? Or why'd they do this?
Yeah.
I know one thing I was seeing online was about Satine Phoenix, who is going to be in the all-star cast of the Avatar one-shotter campaign or whatever they're doing for it that they reached as a stretch goal, and I've already seen it, and I'm like, I don't care. I was explaining this to Ray too, where it's like, I don't understand how people just get so up in arms all the time about so many things. It's like, if you don't like her because she did something that you don't agree with, that's fine. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to this thing. But like, okay, you don't need to complain about it online for everybody. Like, nobody cares about your rants. I don't understand.
We say that as we rant continuously on this show. But,
we do rant continuously, but we don't rant about specific things like that are just kind of like.
We have a tendency not to try and slam people for so stupid reasons.
Yeah.
Contextual ones, but not stupid.
We try not to.
Yeah.
Or political reasons. That again, tirade here. Part of the reason I'm not on Twitter so much, even in the gaming sphere, is that there's so much that happens that is politically charged.
Yeah.
On so many different fronts.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, I'm here for gaming. I'm not here for that. What even?
Right.
But that's got nothing to do with Avatar.
Well, the politics of Avatar.
And Avatar does have political slants in the game world. Yeah, because the politics of Avatar are interesting because wars and stuff going on.
Right. And what can you
I know
bend?
you've never seen the show.
No, I know
you have no idea.
You bend things.
Everything was fine until the Fire Nation attacked.
It's always the Fire Nation. Why is it always the Fire Nation? That's
gonna have
problem.
like 2 minutes of audio there that Nathan has to clean up.
That's fine.
Because he is lagging super hard.
That's okay. But it's always the Fire Nation that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got like a 15-second delay.
Oh, fun. I'll just stay silent right now.
Yeah. It's super fun. So
but anyway, okay, so Fire Nation. Bad. The Fire
They attack.
Okay. They attack everything?
Yeah, they tend to attack everything. That is what they do. They're fire.
Ah. Excellent. I love that.
It's all the Avatar lore you're getting.
Okay, good. That's fine. That's all the Avatar lore I need right now.
Unless you want to go to Bossing Say.
No. Boston Fig, we went there.
No, Bossing Say.
Oh. Okay. No, I don't know what that is.
You wouldn't understand, Nathan. It's an Avatar thing.
Well, then why'd you mention it? I know. Why'd you do that to me? Anyway, so that was probably one of the biggest Kickstarters that I've seen actually for tabletop gaming. Since I think it's
actually the biggest tabletop role-playing game Kickstarter of all time currently.
That sounds about right, because I think the last one that I saw that had anything to do with tabletop gaming that made any kind of headway like this was, I think, when Critical Role decided to do the animation series for their first campaign. It's not really a role-playing thing, but...
No, that's people consuming content ravenously.
Yeah, and also it's an animation project, so it's more in the multimedia space than the RPG creation space, but also did very well. But yeah, so potentially we have 81,000 new people that are going to be playing this. But you had mentioned to me at one point too that the very idea that even if some people keep this on the shelves, even if some people just use it as a collector's item, chances are a good portion of them are going to be actively playing the game.
Right, because you know how people get. Sometimes they're like, oh, I just want this thing to put on my shelf and look pretty. I think there's a Star Trek game that they made at one point that sells for a couple $100 retail. Yeah. And it's like, no one's playing that. No one's touching that. They're just leaving it on their shelf to go, look what I got.
Yeah.
As you should do with most Milton Bradley games.
They look great for your backdrop. That's all you do with them. But even if you do have the collector market, which is, I'm sure a portion of this, I'd say there's probably a good 60,000 of those that are going to be sharing it. And then when they do, you only need one of those people to buy it to have a table of 5 or 6. So if I do my math correctly, there's potentially hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be introduced either just to this system or to tabletop games in general because of this.
Right.
Yeah. That's very exciting. I am starting to wonder, and just your thought on this, it might not be this, but do you think we're ever going to have, like, the new, like, Dungeons & Dragons killer, like the one that people are going to automatically assume is the RPG of choice?
I don't think that a Dungeons & Dragons killer game would exist. I think the only way you could do that is if Wizards of the Coast really screwed up hard.
The Wizard.
Yeah, the wizard cast Fireball and burnt himself alive. Yeah, I don't think, because it's so entrenched in the gaming culture and in people's collective gaming conscious that, like, to kill D&D, you would have to have the company behind it super mess up so badly that a majority of their fan base is just gone. And Wizards tends to be fairly competent, I feel, these days, as opposed to a lot of other gaming companies. With their content and a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say they're the best. I mean, there's still controversy here and there all the time with the DMs Guild, all sorts of bullshit that I don't really look into or have knowledge about, that I can't talk about because I'm not informed about it, but... as a whole, the system and the company don't seem to be alienating their players too badly. If anyone knows of any instances where I'm absolutely, completely wrong, please do share them. Give us a voice clip on Anchor if you want, perhaps. But we'd love to hear about that too, because being informed is great.
Yes. And we will also find out if any of these comments age well in about 6 months.
Remember that one time you said there's not a D&D killer? Well, turned out it was a comet from the stars.
Remember that when we talked about how Wizards of the Coast is never screwed up? Well, today in the news. So that's Avatar.
Today on Total Pebble Knockdown. 10 ways Wizards of the Coast is absolutely fucked up.
And that will be our most popular episode, too.
I mean, Nathan, let's be real. Clickbaity titles work.
Yeah, they definitely do. They will work so well. 10 ways you can screw up your character creation. But Avatar, I'm going to guess, though, this is going to be a little while before people get it into their hands. Kickstarters usually take a little bit of time.
The delivery date on Avatar said it was February 2022.
Okay, that's not bad then.
So not as long as you think necessarily. I guess there might be some logistical challenge. $1 worth of 80,000 backers.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's possible. Any kind of stretch goals and stuff usually will also take some time, but I've occasionally waited like a year and change for my Kickstarter to actually come to fruition. So that's a good timetable if they're looking at
Yeah, I generally like for that reason I don't typically back like video games on Kickstarter. Because generally speaking, video games take a while to make.
This is true. The one that I have actually backed is Coral
Is it
Island.
Star Citizen?
No. No, I'm not that. Never mind. No, it was it was Coral Island, and actually, I technically have an alpha key. I just haven't claimed yet. So they actually do have alphas and betas out already because they were planning on releasing the full game, I think, before the end of the year, early next year. But I did that mostly because it's like Stardew Valley, but on
Nathan.
island.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, you're supposed to use those alpha keys to play the game and give them feedback to improve the game before it comes out.
Yeah, I just haven't.
That's what you're paying for.
I just haven't had time to do it.
Yeah. So busy with TPK content.
I've been, with TPK content, all of the content. Yeah, winks.
Yeah. I backed one game last year on Kickstarter, which actually just released for actual release. And that is Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It's a CRPG, and the company that made it, Owlcat Games, made Pathfinder Kingmaker, which I also have. And the reason I was like, I'm gonna back them, because they've already proven they can make a game, first of all, a decent game, and if it's using the same base system, then it shouldn't take that long. And it was like a year that I waited.
Oh, good.
So, not bad for a Kickstarter of a video game, in my opinion.
No, not at all. But good to know that Avatar is going to be not taking particularly long, because I've seen some end up in dev hell, so... So, here's looking to February.